Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise is brought to you in partnership with Drive Media and Consulting and their premier sponsors. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms and share. If you just found us, welcome. And if you're a regular, welcome back. Denise DiGrigoli has spent her life in the creative industries as an entrepreneur, helping people transform their visions into thriving businesses, working with individuals and teams to find their purpose and live their life vibrantly. On her pod, Denise delivers business intel and life hacks with wit and wisdom in short shots, like a strong espresso, with a solid sense of humor. Enjoy this episode of Mav's Coffee Clarity, and here's Mav.
Welcome, my friends. You're on Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise. We are a show designed to move you forward in work, life, and self-care. And come on, who doesn't need that nowadays? When I'm not interviewing mavericks in their own right, change makers, people that have done great things with their life and their businesses in spite of their trials and tribulations, and using those silver linings they find as fuel, it's just me. And today it's Mav in a short shot. For people wondering, we're season 3. We've evolved. Every season I'm like, are we going to keep doing it? What do the stats say? What do the data points say? Is anybody listening? Are people actually going to Apple and Spotify and YouTube? Are they listening? And Podbean, the company we use to push this show out with, says yes. And thank you. Because not only are you listening to it, you're listening to it to the end. So hopefully every week you come and you find some value. We try to do it in short shots. This way, meaning, under 20 minutes. So if you find something here that motivates you in your work, your life, your well-care, then we've done our job. Today, I want to do a marketing audit. But first, as a consummate entrepreneur, I'm trying a new environment because we are doing YouTube. So you evaluate things as you go forward in your business. Are people watching more on YouTube, or are they listening more on Apple and Spotify? Well, guess what? Podbean says you listen all the way through, but it's on Apple and Spotify. So why do the YouTube, Denise? Because then you've got to wear your makeup, and you've got to sit up straight, and you've got to look, I guess, good. I don't know. Why? Because people say, I listen to YouTube. And we know from data points that really people listen to YouTube or watch YouTube more than any other social platform. Why I like YouTube is because it does drive some, perhaps, analytics to my website. I want to talk to you a little bit in a marketing audit, so hang tough with me today. This is a bootstrapper, entrepreneurial view and lens of things I share with my own client. And I'm going to give you some examples. If the people that own LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook are changing the algorithms. So how much of your stuff or my stuff is being seen by what percentage of all the people that follow me or follow you? So let's just talk about that for a minute. If people are following my content or your content, but the owner of the platform says, well, they don't engage that often, or their content is XYZ based on today's soup du jour algorithm. So we're not going to show half of Denise's content to 25% of our audience. You see how the numbers could slice down the effectiveness? So what I tell my clients and I tell myself is, where are the majority of my clients going when they have a minute from their busy lives? And what do they want? They want something that's useful, that's probably non-dogmative, definitely probably not political, and something that can help them do well in their life. They also may be hooked on a platform today and not tomorrow. So I tell my clients, snail mail, which is postal mail, and we're going to talk about that today, is on the rise. Because if I have your snail mail, even if you chuck it in the garbage, you might have seen it on the way out. That might be all it takes. Just as in the same thing with the scroll on Facebook, just the name. If I have your email, that's permission-based marketing, I can send you something in your email, right? And even if you have filters on and it goes to this category of promotion or that category of follow-up, it's still there. And that's the deepest permission marketing because you've allowed me in your snail mail or your postal box or your inbox. Nobody can take those away from you. And if you have a newsletter, people can subscribe, they can push it forward, they can share it with a friend. So that's a little more guaranteed than social. However, I call it an omni approach to marketing. Why do I say that? Because we never know what method may work for XYZ client today. Depending on who your target audience is, what it is you're selling, is it a product, a service, is it narrow, is it wide? I mean, there's so many variables. I'm just giving you like a high level global brush overview. Okay, so I'm trying a new background today, first of all, because if I'm going to heat this building, I might as well take advantage of it, right? This is our creative center in the Berkshires, a little different than the creative she shed where I normally host the podcast from. However, I wanted to try it for the acoustics, to see what you thought, to see how I felt in the space. So that's marketing, right? That's testing, A/B testing, focus group testing, deriving opinions and feedback from the people that use your product or service, or in this case, the content I'm putting out online. So if you like it, let me know. And if you don't, let me know. Back to marketing. You got to test a lot of things. Yes, of course. I'm spending a little time in a university's startup entrepreneurial incubator. So we're running the development of business plans and the likelihood of this XYZ business being successful and what it takes to identify, who the audience is, what they're really going to buy, what it takes to get them down the sales funnel, and so on. So fair enough to say I've been doing this for a while, and you could have 7 designers in a room, you could have 7 writers in a room, you could have 7 marketeers or podcasts in the room, and we may or may not all agree on whatever subject we're talking about. So these are solely my opinions, but I've done it for a while and appreciate you listening in. So okay, let's get to the snail mail. Anybody that knows me knows I love handwritten thank you notes. I love the aspect of communication. I think the first thing you open when you get a piece of mail is something with a stamp and a handwritten address. Now, this isn't handwritten, but it's nicely done. And yeah, the stamp looks hand applied, but it's not because you can tell. But it looks like it might be an invitation. So I look at it, there's no return address. I think, okay, this is definitely a piece of propaganda. It's a smaller size envelope, so it catches my attention. And I open it up, and of course, I see this hypothetically handwritten script on it. And it says, call now to beat the blank, I'm not going to name the name of the firm, annual factory price increase, Bob. I have no idea who Bob is. And so I open it up, and of course I get the coupon. I always say couponing is the kiss of death. It doesn't necessarily bring someone down the sales funnel, although it may. But you may find, like in the case of Bed Bath & Beyond, you only go when you have your coupon. So when it says 40% off, I'm like, well, did you have to jack it up to bring it down? Or is this a true end of the year sale or a new sale? Or no money down, no payments, no interest? Okay, depending on who I am, I may be okay with this offer. I may not. I see a handwritten signature and I see an expiration date. So there's the human connection. I open this up and it's a handwritten script and it's got a local number. Okay, there's a little familiarity there, and I'm wondering if this company, if I need their service, if it's really in my area. What I don't like about this is it really isn't handwritten. It's designed to have the appearance of handwritten. So right off the bat I go, but I'm sort of a serial marketeer. This fell short for me. You had me at the stamp, the different size envelope, and the fact that you got my name completely correct and the address and so on. But it felt a little like sales funneling. Okay, so if you're a big box store or a big organization, this is a home improvement company, this is the way you might bring people down the funnel to get me or someone to engage. It's like almost there for me. And the reason why I think it's almost there for me is that with the onset of AI as a tool and the fears that are going around it, it's going to take my job, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's using too much energy. And I'm not negating any of your fears. I'm not confirming them. I'm not denying them. I'm saying there's a new tool on the horizon. It's AI. In the same way, 10 years ago when our cell phones, I don't know where mine is because I have a love-hate relationship with my cell phone. I was enamored with the fact that my cell phone was spell checking and auto filling in my text writing. Okay, that was a tool. So some people say, well, it's going to say weird things and it's going to text weird things. And sometimes it does, right? It's not a system that's completely 100% solid. However, it was a tool. Like the cell phone is a tool, and it's a tool that we have to manage, because if you sit there and you doom scroll too long, or you curate your own news and you listen to things that don't, help you move forward, well, you could also view that tool as a very negative tool. In the same way, people are complaining about AI. I think AI is a valuable tool, and I think we have to learn how to use it and manage it for its best, somewhat like the cell phone. It's not going away. So, with the onset of AI, and that was my little segue on AI, I have a lot more to say about AI, but we'll do that in another show. If it's a tool in your marketing basket that can help you, maybe edit, write, create ideas with you, collaborate, okay. But people are skeptical of that. I'm a little skeptical of this. So how could we have done this a little bit differently? Even though it's a big organization or similar to a big box store, it's not the mom and pop Etsy store or the pizza store on the corner or the new boutique over there. How could we have done it differently? Or how could we do it if we were the boutique? I think maybe not trying so hard and trying a little more authentically. Hey, it's Bob. I own the dealership of XYZ Home Improvement Company down the road in your area. We service within the 50 miles, and I'd love to learn more about what you might need and or help you. And not only Bob's signature on the little tiny coupon that I can hardly read, but on the actual letter, not a printed fake signature. If I was advising that, I would spend a little extra time and money on that, because it's going to make a difference. Because trust me, if someone like me who owns a home thinks that way, someone else does too. That's the focus group. So you could run this by 100 people, maybe like, oh yeah, I threw it out. I didn't even open it. It looked like propaganda. Oh, I saw the coupon, I used it. You won't know until you test the market. So where do we take handwritten correspondence and our social media and even trying something new like this? It's kind of a game of numbers, my friends. I say to my clients, it's sort of like almost casting a wide net and seeing what kind of fish you bring in. So you might be doing social media, you might be doing some sort of call follow-up, you might be doing some direct email follow-up, you might be doing a handwritten note or some sort of mass-produced postcard. You might be calling your old clients and saying, oh, we worked with you, back when. Can we help you this year? Or on the heels of successfully servicing a client or a client buying something, you're asking them for a review, you're asking them for social proof, and you're also saying, oh, you were so happy. Would you mind referring someone to me? So in the world of authentic communication, we got to try stuff, we got to talk about stuff, and people coming out of the event industry, I spend a lot of time in the experiential event industry with some clients, and what I'm noticing is over the years, we were really enamored, of course, with our cell phone and AR and VR and LED lights and things that whiz and jizz and talk to us and, sing to us, and holograms at the airport that meet you and shake your hand, all good. But recently I was interviewed and somebody said, well, what does it cost? Well, all these technologies are not necessarily cheap, but I would ask you to think about this question. What does it create? What are you trying to create? What are you trying to create here? I know you're trying to create a sale, but are you trying to create a one-off? Are you filling the hopper with a discount because you need the sales? Are you trying to make an authentic connection that leads to other referrals, retain business? We know statistically 80% of our business comes from 20% of our best clients. So if that's the case, and that big powerhouse of 80% of our business comes from 20% of our best clients, what are we doing to engage them, to talk to them? Hopefully we're not sending them some rogue machine-pieced propaganda. Hopefully we're doing something nice, like remembering their birthday, or saying, hey, your car was serviced, it's time for the next service, or I know it's your anniversary, come on in and buy another piece of jewelry. It's those small personalized touches that all industries are craving for. Beyond monogrammed and customized Converse sneakers and fashion wear, people want authentic communication, they want true education, and they don't really want gimmicks. So yes, technology is not going away. VR, AR, AI, all this kind of stuff that make events and doing business more interesting at times. When it verges, we're seeing people saying, you know what, I don't know if those videos, or I kind of do know, those videos might be AI generated. So now I'm not interested. And once you start to lose the interest, it's very hard to get it back. I mean, very hard to get it back. So growing up in family business, my grandmother would always say, the bird in the hand is better than the bird in the bush. In other words, retention is the name of my game, but authentic, like always deliver a little more than you said you might, and show up with true communication. I think in Mav's short shot, how I'd wrap it up is I'd say this. You're truly only as good as your last great customer testimonial and satisfied client, and keeping retention is really important. And if you're in a startup, you've got to be very mindful of that, because every client is so important for feedback, good, bad, and indifferent. And then 3 to 5 years down the line, when you feel like everything's going copacetic and there's some worldwide pandemic or some catastrophic thing happens, people know where they felt good when they were doing business. And you've heard it, from the beginning of the 19th century. Our friends at Ogilvy would say, don't stop advertising when times are tough. Don't shrink back on your marketing budgets, more so your intention. Get out there and make authentic communications. You can be resilient. You can stretch $1. You don't necessarily, if the ads aren't working, then you need to know that. And you need to know where you can get your biggest bang for your intention and your effort, not necessarily your buck. It costs money to do business, my friends, but the right kind of business. It's not what it costs, it's what it creates. So when you're creating your next marketing campaign, your next business plan, I think when you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? Really think it through. And also be really agile and be able to pivot. And like I said in the beginning of this video, you could get 7 marketeers and 3 of us could have very different opinions. You also have to go with what resonates with your gut and your client. So season 3, we are going to be delivering more powerhouse interviews with people from all walks of life, all industries that have really taken the bull by the horns, if that's still an example I can use, and have created something fabulous through trials and tribulations and stuck with it, the tenacity, the resilience. They're going to share those stories and the silver linings that came out of them when they thought they had no silver linings, and how they kept going. If that resonates with you and you navigate through these types of things in your life, please come here weekly. I try to keep it short. We're unedited. We are never AI. So, I'm not always going to have the right makeup on or the right hairdo, and I don't care. I just want to share the ideas that are working for me and my clients, and the people that I'm interested in interviewing that have done great things in our world, the unsung heroes. So please like, share, comment, let me know. Sign up for my bi-weekly brew, which is really now coming out monthly, over at DeniseDiGrigoli.com. Learn more about my strategic creative consulting services, speaking services, and event services, and how I can help you move forward. Peace out, my friends. Mav has got to get back to work, and I hope you liked our environment this week. Let me know.